This is the weekly sales meeting for July 28th, 2024. My name is Chris Fleming. You can reach me at chris@cdmediaconsulting.com or go to our website at cdmediaconsulting.com. Today's topic, the local media ecosystem. When a Walmart comes to town, 17 local retailers or service businesses are going out of business. Within weeks or months of the opening, those businesses will already feel the impact. The same can be said in the home improvement business with the appearance of a Home Depot or Lowe's. Capitalists and social Darwinists would say it is survival of the fittest. Those businesses affected need to either adopt or perish, and that is true. If you are a business affected by the big boxes or chains with massive block purchasing power, you have two paths. You can turn and run or turn and fight, but to fight you must pivot. The lane you are running in may be occupied, and you don't have the resources to compete. These big box stores and chains are going to carve a path through the center of the dense forest of offerings. They will cut right down the middle of the road. As a business, to survive, you can take the top end or the bottom end. On the bottom, there are the discounters. Here you must do it on volume, as there is no margin in this business. If you are an everyday purchase, this strategy can make some sense. If you are an occasional use purchase, like floor covering or appliances, you cannot make this work. What is left to you is the top end. You can sell better goods to people who can afford to buy them. These people may be fewer, but the buy is larger, and the price is less of a concern than quality. These buyers want the best and are willing to pay for it, and they are quite sure they are not going to find the best at Home Depot or Walmart. Everything else will become a commodity. Then the winner will not be the one who can sell the best product, but who can sell the cheapest. The perception of value is only in the pricing. We will all become commodities, and commodities will have us negotiated into submission. The race is to the proverbial bottom. There is no honor in owning this space. When we are negotiated to only price, the margins will become razor thin, and then survivability is questionable. A slight fluctuation in price could kill a business with such razor thin margins. Small businesses rely on you to shop locally. It keeps our economy running. It keeps our friends and neighbors employed. It circulates more money back into the local economic ecosystem. It supports local charities and nonprofit organizations. It supports roads, bridges, and public safety. It is downright patriotic to support your local businesses in your community. It is an ecosystem of interdependence where everyone thrives. The big behemoth corporations with out-of-town or foreign ownership take most of the spending out of the marketplace. On average, support for a locally owned business keeps $68 out of every $100 spent recirculating in the local market, while chains and big boxes take 86% of all spending out of the market. Shopping local is how you help support your local economy. Go back to the 1950s through the 1970s when the corporate tax rate was 90%. Corporations went out of their way to reinvest in their operations so as to not pay Uncle Sam at the end of the year. This strategy kept businesses competitive. It is what gave rise to the middle class. Rather than pocket the money or return it to the investors, profits were recirculated into the business. It was done in the form of new product lines, infrastructure, innovations, or new employees. Enter Ronald Reagan and the 1980s. Here the United States slashed the corporate tax rate. This allowed profits to filter into the hands of the investor class. It put the profit in the hands of a few rather than the hands of many. The personal rate of return on our investments became a lot more important than the welfare of the business, and more important than the welfare of the employees. The same can be said for advertising investments with local media versus social media. Your local television and radio station is here to serve your community, but the people who work to make your life better each day live in your town. They spend money on goods and services that support the local economy. When you spend money locally, most of it gets recirculated into other businesses in the community. When we spend money with Facebook, Google, or TikTok, it leaves the market. It gets put in the hands of the investor class of the various online platforms, and they couldn't care about Lubbock, Texas, Ottumwa, Iowa, Columbus, Georgia, or Lake Charles, Louisiana. This money leaves the market and doesn't get reinvested or recirculated. Consider that when you are making your advertising choices, especially if you are a small or medium-sized business working to make a go of it in the community where you live. Your local radio station serves the local marketplace. It offers news and information. Many radio stations provide local news updates, weather reports, and traffic updates. A good one is engaged with the community. They are an outlet for local promotion for events and businesses. They provide cultural connection and relative entertainment programming. They cover emergency alerts and public service. They offer support for area nonprofit organizations and charities. Overall, radio stations play a vital role in connecting communities. They provide information and entertainment. They support local businesses and organizations. They serve as a valuable resource for residents to stay connected. They are engaged with their local area. And above all, they live where their constituents live, so they are affected by the same daily routine. Similarly, local television stations are involved in serving the local market. They provide news coverage tailored to the specific needs and interests of their communities. They deliver updates on local events, politics, crime, education, and topics that affect residents. Local TV stations offer weather forecasts and updates. Television stations cover and promote local events, festivals, parades, and cultural activities. Many local TV stations provide coverage of high school, college, and professional sports teams. Some will even broadcast games. Local television stations may produce public affairs programs and interviews with local officials. This provides an outlet for important issues facing the community. Local TV stations offer educational and informational programming as a resource to viewers. Local TV stations play a vital role in broadcasting emergency alerts. They bring us public safety information during emergencies. Television stations serve as an important source of news, information, and connection for the markets they serve. Overall, broadcast radio and television offer unique benefits. These benefits are not replicated by social media or other online platforms. There are two grand advantages to local media. One is truth, and the other is reliability. Broadcast stations, both radio and television, are licensed to serve the local community. We are charged with delivering the truth both from a news and information standpoint, and charged with truth from an advertising standpoint. We cannot and should not broadcast anything that is false or misleading. That is not the case with any paid service such as cable, satellite radio or TV, or the internet. Because these are paid services, their content is unregulated. Nothing must be true. So consider this when making advertising choices. Do you want your message next to something that is blatantly or overtly false? There's a difference in regulation between social media sites and broadcast television or radio. One of these is historical. Broadcast television and radio have been around much longer than social media platforms. Regulation dates to the 1930s. This is when the government began imposing rules to ensure fair and responsible broadcasting. It was based on the limited spectrum available and the potential for broadcasting to reach wide audiences. Social media emerged much later with the advent of the internet. Digital technologies and digital regulations have been slower to catch up. There are obvious technological differences. Broadcast television and radio operate over public airwaves. These are considered public resources, thus subject to government oversight. This infrastructure lends itself to more centralized regulation. Social media platforms operate on the internet. This is a global joining of privately owned servers and networks. The decentralized nature of the internet makes it more challenging to regulate content. It must consider many jurisdictions. For this, there may be no governing body. Consider the legal framework. Laws and regulations governing broadcast television and radio are based on specific statutes. There are regulatory agencies established to oversee these laws, such as the Federal Communication Commission in the United States. These regulations include content standards. There are prohibitions on obscenity, indecency, and profanity during certain hours. Social media falls under a patchwork of legal frameworks that may vary from country or region. Regulations related to online content are often less comprehensive. They are also less enforceable due to the global nature of the internet. In essence, anything goes. Both art forms enjoy freedom of expression, but social media platforms are often considered a less regulated platform for expression. And while there are legal limits to free speech, such as hate speech, incitement to violence, etc., there is a delicate balance between regulating harmful content and preserving freedom of expression, at least in the online world. This balance is difficult to achieve, and it varies across cultures and legal systems. This makes it a much riskier platform for advertising messages. You don't know where your message will wind up and in what context. Just last week, I received a Facebook advertisement for O'Charlie's. This is a restaurant chain that until recently had a store where I live, but it closed claiming poor economics. There was some backlash to the company for its closure. Now I am receiving an ad for its services, and the closest location is 500 miles from my door. Well done, O'Charlie's. Social media is supposed to make us all more connected. It may have done the opposite. It is filled with echo chambers and filter bubbles. Social media algorithms often prioritize content based on users' past behavior and preferences. It creates echo chambers. Here you are exposed to information and opinions that align with your existing beliefs, reinforcing the ideas you already maintain. This selective input leads to a confirmation bias. People tend to selectively share information that supports their views. They will ignore or dismiss conflicting evidence. Social media platforms prioritize brevity. They aim for simplicity. This oversimplifies complex issues. Discussions on social media may lack depth, nuance, and context. Investment in online advertising has been steadily increasing. It has surpassed traditional advertising outlets like broadcast radio and television. In the United States, for example, digital ad spending is well over $265 billion, while TV ad spending was estimated to be around $60 billion, and radio ad spending around $12.5 billion. The global pandemic accelerated this movement and migration. More consumers spent more time online. But in doing so, this migration of money led to an erosion of local money recirculating into local markets. Social and digital advertising money leaves the market. It is like shopping at Walmart and Target, except none of it gets returned to the local economy. Facebook is not here to support your Little League team, but your local car dealer is. Google won't be around to donate to your favorite charity, but your local appliance store is. And TikTok will not be sharing any of its profits with your community, but your local television and radio stations will be. They keep people employed and keep money recirculating locally. It is an engine that continues to feed the local economy. This should not be a choice when deciding on where your money should go. Sure, digital is all the rage and is convenient for many, but when the online locusts have taken all the money from the local economy and there is no one left to buy goods and services, what then? My new book, 21st Century Sales Success, is now available on Amazon.com. If you like what you have heard here today, please consider ordering a copy, or two. You can always send one to a friend. Go to cdmediaconsulting.com right now and follow the instructions to order.